energy to electricity. So this first part, we're just focusing on the formation of wind, the wind system in globally and locally. Okay, this is the wind formation. The definition wind according to WMO and according to AMS, according to NOAA or NWS, National Weather System. So basically, all of them define wind as the horizontal movement of air relative to the Earth's surface. It's driven primarily by the differences in atmospheric pressure that result from uneven solar heating. So we also know that there is uneven solar heating due to rotational of the Earth. So some part of the Earth will get the sun or the solar energy, and some part will not. Also, it's okay, we'll discuss it after this. So what caused the wind? So wind is caused by the difference in air pressure. So there's a differences in air pressure in the atmosphere. Perbedaan tekanan ya, perbedaan tekanan udara pada atmosfer. Oke, jadi itu keywordnya adalah perbedaan tekanan udara. So the Darker X again, what create those pressure difference? Gitu. Apa sih yang membuat terjadinya perbedaan tekanan tersebut? So this is the illustration. There is uneven solar heating, and then there will be a temperature differences between some part and another part. Some become a warm air, and some become a cool air. So there's a temperature differences, and then there's also density difference. Density differences between the warm air will rise and the cool air will sink. Okay, the warm will rise and the cool will sink. So there is the pressure difference. Some become the warm air become a lower pressure, and the cool air become the higher pressure, because in the cool air, the air is sinks. This sinks. So the pressure, that area become higher. The pressure become higher. Okay. The warm side, because the air is rises, the pressure become lower. Can you get it? Okay. So the air moves from the high pressure to the low pressure, it becomes a wind. Okay. So one of the main cause of the wind is the uneven solar heatings. Okay. Uneven solar heating. So there's an uneven or unequal heating of the Earth. Because of the unequal heating of the Earth, it can produce global wind. So this is, we're talking about global wind in a very basic model. The equator, this equator one, will receive more energy, more solar energy than the poles. This is the North Pole and the South Poles. Because of this, the air at the equator become warm. So you know what happens when that area become warm? The air will rises, so it become less dense. So the pressure will drop. Okay, the air rises and it creates a low pressure area. At the poles, because the air in this pole is cold, so it's colder and denser. That's why the air will sink. When it sinks, it will create a higher pressure area. Okay, so air naturally moves from high pressure to low pressure. So it becomes a flow. Air flows from the poles toward to equator, and then back again to the pole, and back again to equator. So it's become the moves. It's like a cycle. The air naturally moves from high pressure to low pressure. So surface air flows from the poles toward the equators. After rising at the equators, air moves back towards the poles at the higher altitude, completing a large circulation loop. Okay, I will click this one. Nothing happens. Ya, sebentar, kita ganti ke PPT ya. I have to change into PPT. Wait. Can you see this? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah,
It comes at you as a breeze, as a gust.
ini kelihatan nggak YouTube-nya? Atau cuman ini yang kelihatan?
Tidak kelihatan YouTube-nya, slide-nya aja.
Oh, okay. So I have to share the desktop ya. Wait. Okay. So I will click this videos icon, and then it.
Scribe makes step-by-step guides for any process with AI. You know what's terrifying at work? When you start a new job and there's no training, none of the processes are documented, and you're...
Bentar. Saya sign in dulu ya. Soalnya kalau bukan, kenapa saya nggak sign on? Aduh, YouTube.
Comes at you as a breeze, as a gust, as a gale, or... It comes at you as a breeze, as a gust, as a gale, or in the scariest of situations, a hurricane or tornado. It speeds up to 400 kilometers an hour. Moving air can be as delightful as it can be frightening. But how does wind happen?
He will
Here's one
explain
answer.
How the wind formation, yeah.
Is caused by air flowing from an area of high pressure to an area of low pressure. The long answer is that there are a bunch of variables that affect wind formation, speed, and direction, including the sun and the Earth's rotation. Let's back it up a bit. The air that's all around you, it's made up of nitrogen molecules, about 78%, oxygen molecules, about 21%, and water vapor, between 1 and 4%. When we talk about air pressure, we're talking about the amount of force that these molecules exert on a given area. When a mass of air warms, it rises, and therefore exerts less pressure on the surface. And especially if that air is moist, that rising air can become unstable and create cloudy, rainy, even stormy conditions. That's why low pressure systems are often associated with bad weather. But that low you see on the weather map is only low in relation to the air around it. There's always a mass of cooler, drier air, usually coming in from a polar region, waiting to rush in, push that low out of the way, and sit right on top of the land. That's a high pressure system, and when it dominates, clear skies usually come with it. So think of the wind as the atmosphere's eternally futile struggle to find a balance between these two competing systems. Air flows from a high pressure to low pressure systems to try to reach equilibrium, and in doing so, creates wind. The closer the high and low pressure areas are to each other, the stronger the wind. Now, unsurprisingly, the sun plays a big part in all of this, as it heats the surface of the Earth. About 2% of all the sun's energy that reaches our planet is eventually converted into wind energy, a small portion which we humans tried to harness. The spin of our planet also plays an important role. If the Earth didn't rotate, global winds would pretty much blow in straight lines with cold air flowing from the poles, heating up at the equator and then going back again. But the Earth's rotation produces a force on everything that's moving relative to the Earth, including air masses, a phenomenon known as the Coriolis effect. That rotation deflects the direction of the winds to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. Put it together, and these forces can do amazing things. According to most sources, the highest surface wind speed ever recorded was at the top of Mount Washington in New Hampshire. Wind gusts during a particularly brutal storm in 1934 topped out at 372 kilometers per hour. But in 1996, instruments about 10 meters above the surface recorded winds of 408 kilometers per hour during Cyclone Olivia off the coast of Australia. If it's all the same to you, I'll just take my gentle fall breeze. Thank you very much. And thank you to all of our viewers, especially our subbable subscribers.
Okay. Ini saya nggak tahu apakah ini dia salah ini ya. Salah apa lagi namanya? Ya udahlah. Okay, more or less they're talking about there's different pressure between one area to another area, and then wind will flow from the high temperature to high pressure to lower pressure. Okay, so there are three factors that affect the wind formation. There's a uneven solar heating because the equator receives more heat than the poles, and he talking about Coriolis effect. Yeah, Coriolis effect due to Earth's self-rotation, wind will curves to the right in the northern hemisphere, and the wind curves on the left in the hemisphere. And then the local geographic condition because of the mountains, terrains, and water bodies. So we're talking about global wind system, okay? So global atmospheric circulations. They're talking about Coriolis effect. This is there's an effect called Coriolis effect. Because equator receives more heat from the sun, the air become warm and rises, okay? This is creates a lower pressure area near the equator. So around 30 degree north and south, so this is 30 degree north and 30 degrees south, the air cools and sinks. So compared to the equators, the 30 degree north and south will be cooler air than the equator. So the air in this area will sink, also will create higher pressure regions. So air will move from high pressure to lower pressure, but it doesn't move in straight lines because Earth rotates. So it should be in straight lines, okay? It should be in straight lines, but because the Earth rotation, the air moves in a curve. So it is like a curve. Okay, this is like a curve, and then also like this in the easterlights, is also like a curve. So it should be in straight lines, but because of Earth rotation, it will be bending, like it's like bent a little bit. So the wind will curve. The effect is called Coriolis effect. As a result, there are three main wind belts from each hemisphere. There's a trade winds. This is near the equator. Trade winds. This is the trade winds. And there's a westerlies. This is the middle latitudes westerlies in the south and north hemisphere. And then there's a polar easterlies. This is like the near the poles, either at the north and at the south. These wind belts help distribute heat around the planets and influence weather climates. Okay, we'll see the another videos again. Oh, what is it?
We'll fly to Asia. If I win, we'll fly to Paris.
Thank you, Sarah.
I bet you won't get toned.
This is Dwayne Friend with University of Illinois Extension. We live in an ocean of air. That ocean of air moves, and we feel that movement as wind. What makes the wind? The answer is because of differences in air pressure. Air has mass or weight. In fact, at sea level, every square inch of area has almost 15 pounds of force being exerted on it due to this mass. However, that force can vary slightly. One reason it varies is because of temperature. When temperatures are warmer, air expands, becomes less dense, and rises, decreasing air pressure. Colder temperatures cause air to sink and compress, increasing air pressure. Other factors can make air rise or sink, and this can also cause high and low air pressure. With low air pressure, air is rising. To replace the rising air, more air from the surrounding area must come in to replace it. Sinking air associated with high pressure will spread out. So air will flow from high to low pressure, creating wind. Without other factors, air would flow directly from high to low pressure. However, on Earth, that doesn't exactly happen. Because the Earth spins, that motion is also given to the wind. This is called the Coriolis effect. North of the equator, this causes winds to move in a counterclockwise motion into low pressure and move in a clockwise motion away from high pressure. Besides the little highs and lows you see on a weather map, there are large bands of high and low pressure across the Earth. In turn, this causes large bands of prevailing winds to be present across the Earth's surface. These are also affected by the spin of the Earth. In the northern hemisphere, near the equator, winds come from the northeast and are called the northeast trades. Halfway between the equator and the North Pole, winds come out of the west and are called the westerlies. Near the North Pole, winds come out of the east again and are called the polar easterlies. Where do you live on Earth, and what direction does your weather come from? You'll notice that it will be mostly controlled by what major band of winds you are in. When you look at a weather map, see where the highs and lows are located, and see what direction the winds are coming out of where you are at. These smaller pressure areas will also affect wind direction on a more local basis.
Okay. Let's continue. So we have, because of this Earth rotation, wind does not form just one big circulation cell. Instead, each hemisphere has 3 circulation cells. There's a Hadley cell. This is the Hadley cell, Ferrel cell, and Poral cell. So each either North Hemisphere and South Hemisphere. So Hadley cell will control tropical climate. This is the Hadley cell. And Ferrel cell will control mid-latitude weather. And the polar cell will control cold polar climate. So this is the last videos.
Stella Rosewood Harmony, rumah terasa lebih harmonis.
Banget ya.
Welcome to Moo Math and Science and Global Winds. The Earth is not heated evenly. This uneven heating of the Earth produces pressure belts, and these pressure belts occur at about 30 degrees of latitude. The combination of these convection belts and the Coriolis effect, which is the curving of the path of winds and the oceans due to the Earth's rotation, causes global wind patterns. In this video, I'd like to look at the major global winds. Up first are the polar easterlies. They blow from the northeast in the north and the southeast in the south. These belts extend from the poles to 60 degrees latitude. The polar easterlies are formed as cold sinking air moves from the poles towards 60 degrees north and 60 degrees south latitude. Next are the westerly, and they blow to the west. These wind belts are found between 30 degrees and 60 degrees latitude in both hemispheres and are called the westerlies. The westerlies blow towards the poles from west to east. The westerlies can carry moist air over the United States, producing rain and snow. Next are the trade winds. They blow to the southeast in the south and northeast in the north. In both hemispheres, the winds that blow from 30 degrees latitude almost to the equator are called trade winds. The Coriolis effect causes the trade winds to curve to the west in the northern hemisphere and to the east in the southern hemisphere. Next are the doldrums. The trade winds of the northern and southern hemisphere meet in an area around the equator called the doldrums. In the doldrums, there is very little wind because the warm rising air creates an area of low pressure. And finally, the horse latitudes. At about 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south, sinking air creates an area of high pressure. The winds at these locations are weak. These areas are called the horse latitudes. According to legend, this name was given to these areas when sailing ships carried horses from Europe to the Americas. When the ships were stuck in the windless area, horses were sometimes thrown overboard to save drinking water for the sailors. Remember, this is just a legend. Most of the world's deserts are located in the horse latitudes because the sinking air is very dry. So there we go, the major global winds of the world. Thanks for watching, and Moo Math uploads a new math and science
Okay, I hope you got the video. Okay. So we have the Hadley cell, Farrell cell, and Poral cell. This is the comparison. The latitude range, Hadley cell is from the equator to 30 degree north and south. Farrell cell 30 degree north and south to 60 degree north and south. Polar cell 60 to 90 degree either north and south. So this is the main source for Hadley cells is strong solar heating at the equator. And then this is indirect interaction between Hadley and polar cell, and then the polar cell is cold temperature at the poles. So the air movements, this is rises at 0%, at 0 degree, and then sinks at 30 degrees. This is rises again at 60 degrees and sinks at 30 degrees. Okay, you can see it. You can read it. Yeah, the strength. The Hadley cell is the strongest. The wind in this area is the strongest and the most stable. And the Farrell cell is moderate to variable wind, and the weak one is the polar cell. Because you know when the air pressure is lower, it tends to the winds tend to very weak. This is weak to moderate. Okay. Okay, we'll now talk about local wind. That was global. Now it's local. Local circulation, because beside global factors, so the global factor is solar heating and Earth's rotation, local circulation or local wind system also influence how wind forms, move, and change direction. This effect happens at a smaller scale or regional or local level. Local circulation refers to small-scale wind movement that occur due to temperature differences in a specific area. These winds are usually short distance and short duration compared to global wind system. There are several factors that affect local circulation or local wind system. There are mountains and terrains, land and water or coastal area, surface roughness, local temperature differences. So there's four factors that affect the wind formation. This is the what is this? Mountains and terrains. So there's day breeze and land breeze, sea breeze and land breeze, and then mountain and valley breeze, urban heat and island effect. This is the types of local wind system. We see the sea breeze here. Sea breeze happens during the daytime. So land hits faster than sea. So warm air rises over land because this is a hotter one, and then it becomes a low pressure. Cool air from sea, it moves towards land. So the result, wind will blow from sea to land. So during the daytime, the wind will blow from sea to land. So that's why it's called sea breeze. Okay, and then in the nighttime, there will be a land breeze. So because at the nighttime, land cooler than sea, so land cool faster than sea. So the cool air will sink over the land. It becomes the high pressure. So air will move from land to the sea. So the result, the wind will blow from land to sea at the nighttime. So that's why it's called land breeze. So can you see the difference between during the daytime, you will get the wind from the sea, and during the nighttime, you will get the wind from the land to the sea. Okay. Okay, this is there's a valley breeze during the daytime and mountain breeze during the nighttime. In the valley breeze, the mountain slopes heats up. This is will heat up. So the warm air rises along the slope. This is where the warm air will rises. So the wind flows up the mountain. So this is the wind from the valley will flow up to the mountain. So this is called valley breeze. And then there's a mountain breeze. This happens during the nighttime because the slopes quickly cool. Will be cooler quickly. So the cold air will sink into the valley, and the wind flows from down from the from the mountains. So if you are at the night time, you will get the mountain breeze. The wind will come from the mountain to the valley, but during the daytime you will get the valley breeze. The wind come from the valley to the mountains. Okay, this is urban heat island effect, because there's a city. The city will absorb more heat than the rural area. So if what it's called, there's a city and the rural area. Hello? Okay.
Ma'am.
Okay, so the city will absorb more heat than the rural area. So warm air in the city will rises and warm air will rises over the city, and the rural area, the warm will be sinks. That's why surrounding cooler air will move inward from the rural to the city. This creates localized wind circulation. So the wind will flow from the cooler area, which means from the rural area to the city. Okay. Okay, what is the difference between global and local circulation? So we'll discuss about global circulation and local circulation. In the term of scale, global circulation it's like an entire Earth. It's a larger scale. For the local circulation, it's only for the regional or local area, either like Indonesia or like just Sulawesi. It's called local circulation. Okay, but if we are talking about we are as a equator areas, that's a global circulation. Okay, what is the main driver? Main driver for the global circulation, we have discussed it. It's because of uneven heating between equator and poles. And then for the local circulation is local temperature differences between sea and land, mountains and valley, and urban area, and etc. Is it influenced by Earth rotation? Yes, for global circulation, because Coriolis effect strongly influence direction, but in the local circulation it is negligible effect. Okay, this is like the example I have. Like trade winds, westerlies, polar easterlies, sea breeze, land breeze, mountain valley breeze. Sorry. Time scale for global circulation, this is persistence or long-term patterns, but for local circulation is actually daily or short-term. So it's like, we have sea breeze during the daytime and land breeze during the nighttime. So it's like a shorter terms. Geographic coverage, this is thousands of kilometers. This is just few kilometers to regional scales. Climate impacts, this is control climate zones and global heat distribution. This is only influence local weather conditions. Okay, we are entering the wind direction and speed subheadings. Wind direction. Wind direction is the direction from which the wind is coming. Okay. For example, a north wind blows from north toward the south. A sea breeze comes from sea toward land. So when we mention the name of the direction or object and on area, so that means this is where the winds come. So when we talk about north wind, so that means wind from the north. When we talk about sea breeze, that means the wind from the sea. Okay, so what we mentioned before, the wind or that means the original wind come from. Knowing wind direction is important because it is tell us where the air is coming from, and this affect the weather, Wind direction help meteorologists understand the movement of the clouds and the storms and arrival of cold and warm air masses and rainfall patterns. Will affect the safety for the aircraft. Ships, this must consider wind direction to take off or landing safely, full efficiency and road planning. For energy system, this is for wind turbines. The turbines must face the wind. So if you want to get the maximum or the optimum electricity, the turbine must to face the wind. The wind farms are designed based on the dominant wind direction, and the layout spacing depends on the wind direction to reduce wake effect. Environmental condition, wind direction will determine where the pollutants travel, spread of smokes from forest fires, and dispersion of industrial emission. Okay. Force that affects the wind direction. What is forces that affects the wind direction? This is a PGF, pressure gradient force. This is caused by pressure difference. Pushes air from high pressure to lower pressure. This is the main force that starts the winds. Okay, we have discussed this as the cause of the wind formation. And then Coriolis effect. This is also affect the wind direction. This is caused by the Earth rotation. Deflects winds right at the northern hemisphere and left at the southern hemisphere. It changes wind direction, but does not create winds. This is not create wind, but it is just change the direction. Friction force act near the Earth's surface, slows wind speeds, reduce Coriolis effect near the ground, and make the wind cross pressure line slightly. Okay. Okay, so wind speed. Now we talk about wind speed. Wind speed is how fast is the air moves. It is usually measured in meter per second, meter per second, or kilometer per hours. Either you use meter per second or kilometer per hours. Okay, wind speed tell us how strong the wind is, and it is very important to weather prediction, safety, engineering, and renewable energy. Okay, for the weather forecasting, the wind speed helps meteorologists to predict storms and how severe the weather is. It will identify strong pressure system, will estimate the cyclone and hurricane intensity. Stronger winds often indicate stronger weather systems. For aviation and marine safety, wind speed will affect aircraft takeoff and landing, turbulence levels, ship navigation and safety, and very strong winds can be dangerous for transportation. Okay, so I highlighted the wind energy production. The wind speed is the most important factor in the wind power generation because the power from the wind increases rapidly with the wind speed. So the higher the speed, the higher the power you will generate. Small increase in wind speed will produce large increase in power output. If wind speed is too low, turbine produces little power. Even the turbine will not rotate if the wind is too low. But if the wind speed is too high, turbine might shut down for safety because for the safety reason. So we need to control the wind. Okay, the speed of the wind. For structural engineering, engineers should use wind speed data to design buildings and bridges and calculate wind loads, ensure structural safety. Stronger wind speed will impact to larger force on structures. For environmental study, wind speed will determine how fast the pollutant will spread, the fire spreading rate, and evaporation rate. Okay. Okay. What affect the wind speed? Pressure difference. The greater the difference between high and low pressure, the stronger or the greater the difference between higher and low pressure, the stronger the wind, the faster the wind. Small pressure difference, weak winds, or pressure difference, this will cause a stronger wind. Surface friction near the ground. If the ground has tree, buildings, mountains, this will slow down the wind. But if you have the ocean or just flat surfaces, it will allow a faster wind. Okay, so higher friction will slower the wind, lower friction will faster the wind. Height above the ground, so wind speed generally increase with height. So if you have anemometer, anemometers, anemometer, I don't know how to spell it. Anemometer, this is tools for measure the wind speed. If you put at the 10 meters high and 20 meters high, it will record the difference measure of the wind speed. So the higher you put your tools, the higher the wind speed. Okay, so this is the highlights that wind speed will increase with the heights, and it's lower near the surface due to friction, because at the lower point, you have the friction, like you have the trees, you have the buildings, you have like mountains or anything. So it is important for wind energy application. Okay, this is global map of the wind speed from the blue area to the red area. So the to the right one is the strong wind speed, and at the left one, the blue area, it's like a weaker wind speed. Okay, the average, like the green or yellow area. So you see Indonesia has tend to has a lower, weaker wind speed. So wind speed is around, it's like around 2 to 3 meter per second. Okay, the strongest wind speed happens in like this area. Okay, can you see it? All the red area has a strong potential for wind, for wind energy, because it has a very strong wind speed. This is the average wind speed in Indonesia. Can you see in Indonesia, the blue area is a weak wind speed, but the orange to the red area has a high wind speed. So like here in Sulawesi, in this area. Ini daerah mana ya kalau di Sulawesi ya? Ada yang tahu nggak? Daerah apa ini? Bulukumba bukan ya? Jeneponto ya? Oke. Yeah, this area is around like 6 to 7 meter per second. Also, like in this area, also has higher potential here. So it's mostly like the coastline ya. Jadi kayak di pesisir-pesisir semuanya, di pesisir-pesisir. Jadi semua potensi angin itu, wind potential itu biasanya di pesisir. Kalau di pulaunya, di daratan itu, di land area, biasanya wind speednya jelek gitu ya. Jadi wind speed itu biasanya selalu di pesisir, daerah pesisir seperti itu. Okay, wind speed distribution. Because why the importance of wind speed distribution? Because wind does not blow at constant speed. Instead, the speed is varies over time. So maybe it has 2 meter per second, and then 3 meter per second, 4 meter per second. Is varies over time, hourly, daily, seasonally. To analyze this variation, we use statistical distribution. So because wind energy will depend on the wind speed. You can see the relation between PP is the energy, the power, and V is velocity, or the speed, wind speed. So this is like like triple. It's like it's not triple ya. Pangkat 3 sih, apa pangkat 3 ya? Kalau pangkat 2 square. pangkat 3 ya. Jadi dia pangkat 3 sampai pangkat 3 ininya, relationship-nya antara daya dengan kecepatan. Jadi kalau kita naikin kecepatan dikit aja, maka P-nya itu pasti akan sangat besar gitu ya, impact-nya sangat besar. Seperti itu. Jadi performance of the turbines depends on how often certain wind speeds occur, and structural design depends on extreme wind speed. So we need statistic to understand average wind speed, most frequent wind speed, and probability of strong wind. Oke, jadi kita harus tahu tuh kecepatan yang paling seringnya itu berapa, kemudian average-nya berapa, kemudian yang paling kuatnya berapa. That's why kita butuh yang namanya wind speed distribution gitu ya. Kita harus tahu. Nah, orang yang pertama kali melakukan itu namanya Weibull. Jadi Weibull, jadi sebenarnya banyak sih ya distribusi, tapi salah satunya ini Weibull. Weibull is wind speed is wind speed is a stochastic in Weibull ya. Wind speed is stochastic quantity. The most common density function used to represent wind speed is the Weibull. So there's several function we can use, but Weibull is the most commonly used. It is named after the Swedish engineer, scientist, and mathematician Welody Weibull, who described it in detail in 1951. This is the wind speed distribution. So this is the wind speed from wind speed distribution frequency. How often wind speed occurs at the site. This is the wind speed. This is the frequency. So it is recorded that the most frequent wind happens. This is the frequency. Like the highest is like 13%. It happens like 7 meter per second. Okay, this is the most frequent, and then the 8. So like between 5 and 10 meter per second, this is the most frequent wind speed. And this is the less frequent, 15 to or 10 to 20 or 0 to 5. Okay, so the most widely used this statistical model for wind speed is Weibull distribution. This describes how often wind speed occurs at a site. So this is the data, the wind data. The bar one, the blue bar is the wind data, and the Weibull is in the graph. It's in the red graph. Okay, wind data is shown as a histogram. X-axis is the wind speed and y-axis is the frequency. This means the moderate wind speed occur most often. Okay, this is the moderate. This is the extreme one, and this is the lowest one, the low one, the weak one, and then this is the moderate. The moderate wind speed occur more often than a very high wind speed occur less frequently. The very high, this is less occurs less frequently. Most wind sites show low occurrence at very low speed, okay, peak at the moderate speed, and gradual decrease at the high speed. So that's why the shape is often modeled as Weibull distribution. So, jadi Weibull distribution ini selalu bentuknya seperti ini ya, karena ternyata di beberapa site atau daerah yang mempunyai potensi angin yang besar, itu bentuknya seperti ini. Jadi yang rendah speed angin yang rendah itu sedikit, least frequent gitu ya. Kemudian yang paling sering itu adalah moderate wind gitu ya. Jadi moderate yang middle gitu, yang often the most frequent happen itu occurs on the moderate speed. Moderate speednya itu ya pertengahannya gitu ya. Kemudian yang very high, the highest or like an extreme one itu less frequent seperti itu. Jadi biasanya every site has this shape ya, has this kind of distribution. That's why sometimes we use Weibull distribution, because every site is like, even though these numbers are different, but the shape is almost similar. Okay, the Weibull distribution is probability distribution function commonly used to describe how wind speeds vary at particular location, and it is mostly widely used statistical model in wind energy analysis. Why Weibull used for wind? Because wind speed data usually is not symmetric, so you can see this is not symmetric, and then it has many moderate speed values. This has many moderate speed values, and then has fewer high speed values. Okay. This is fewer speed values. And Weibull distribution accurately represent these typical wind patterns. Okay, this is probability density function for the Weibulls. V is the wind speed, K is the shape parameter, and G is for scale. Wind speed at the size is often described by two parameters, K and C. This is the shape parameter, how variable the wind is. And then C is scale parameter related to overall wind strength. So this is the Weibull distribution, speed distribution, the shape parameter K and scale C. This is the wind shape. Weibull curve. This is the most frequent wind speed at this this area, and then this is the shape parameter shape. Okay, so we have the K and C parameter. This is control the shape of the curve, the parameter K. Okay, so the low K in between 1 to 1.5 is the wind is highly variable, so it's very variable. This varies, highly variable. And then medium key is around 2, the typical wind distribution, the moderate one, and then the high key or more than 3 is stable, consistent wind. Higher key means wind speed are more concentrated around the average. Scale parameter C, it's control over the overall wind strength. The larger C will stronger average wind, and smaller C weaker wind. So it is closely related to mean wind speed. So this is like a key. This is the Weibull distribution. If the key is the parameter K is has a different value. This is for the K equal to 1. This is like this one, and then K equal to 1.5. This is 1.5. This one, yeah. And then one K equal to 2, K equal to 2.5, and equal to 3. So if K is equal to 1, this is like exponential distribution. So this is like a function of this exponential function, okay? And K equal to 2, this is called Rayleigh distribution. So also kind of statistical distribution is Rayleigh distribution. So if K more than 3 is Gaussian distribution, okay? So wind speed is the 10-minute average. So this is the 10 minutes average. In wind measurement campaigns, for each 10-minute interval, the average wind speed and standard deviation is recorded. So Weibull probability density function is used to model the 10-minute average wind speed. This assume that over 10-minute interval, the wind condition are stationary. Ya, kurang lebih seperti itu ya. Jadi wind speed itu sebenarnya adalah dia tuh apalagi rata-rata 10 menit. Jadi setiap 10 menit itu dianggap interval 10 menit itu perubahannya di situ. Nah, lewat dari itu stationary. Jadi dia sama aja gitu, sama. Jadi biasanya makanya kita ngukurnya itu biasanya interval 10 menit. Interval 10 menit. Jadi 10 menit itu pengukurannya pasti bentuknya seperti ini. Interval 10 menit berikutnya mirip juga polanya seperti itu. Jadi makanya seperti itu ya. Jadi disebutkan bahwa Weibull itu tadi, aduh ini kok seperti ini. Saya pindahin dulu ke atas. Itu ya, dia Weibull itu dia dimodelkan setiap 10 menit seperti itu. Oke. And then aku nggak mau. Oke. This is Rayleigh distribution. If the K is 0.2, this is Weibull fit. This is called Rayleigh distribution. Rayleigh distribution is simplified Weibulls distribution with K equal to 2 is used to model wind speed when only the average wind speed is known. If you only know the average wind, you use Rayleigh distribution because this is the simplified function. This simplified model of Weibull distribution. Rayleigh versus Weibull. Weibull versus Rayleigh speed distribution. This is like Weibull. The representative of key is 1.8. The Rayleigh is key equal to 2. Rayleigh, it has limited data. If you have limited data, then use Rayleigh. If you have detail when measurement data, you use Weibull. Okay, this is for primary study. This is for accurate site assessment, and Rayleigh if you use only for educational purpose. And then for professional wind farm design, you can use you have to use Weibull. Okay. Jadi kapan dipakai Rayleigh, kapan dipakai Weibull, tergantung ya. Kalau misalnya data kalian limited, pakai Rayleigh karena Rayleigh ini lebih simpel. Kita ngambil parameternya itu adalah 2 dan data biasanya itu yang kita punya itu cuman rata-ratanya aja gitu ya. Rata-rata dari wind speed-nya itu pakai Rayleigh. Tapi kalau kalian punya detailnya itu kalian pakai Weibull gitu ya. Nah, kalau untuk perancangan wind farm, desain wind farmnya ya kalian pakai Weibull seperti itu. Oke, ini linknya ya. Kenapa kita harus mencari distribution ya? Karena kita mau mencari sebenarnya speednya sebenarnya. Kita mau tahu berapa mean speed, kecepatan rata-ratanya. Nah, if you want to know the mean because the mean wind speed means how much the wind energy we will produce seperti itu. Jadi kalau misalnya kita tahu rata-ratanya ya bisa ketahuan dari berapa besar daya yang akan di generates. Oke. Oh my God, to be continue. Oke, see you next week. Any questions? Saya mau absen dulu. Halo?
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Bentar ya, saya mau present sih. Apa ini?